This is Exo, and you have reached the Death Chamber. Death Chamber, Death Chamber, Death Chamber.
It sounds too violent.
It is. And it's, I once heard someone describe it as sex music.
What, sex music? What?
Yeah, something, it is very sensual.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, but, just starting off here, I gotta say, playing through this level for this project made me realize just how much I hate this level. Like, I think it's my least favorite one. And that's weird because I think Egg Quarters might be my favorite, and it's like Rouge's version of the stage. But the big problem with it is, first of all, it's everything's indoors. Like, even with Mad Space, at least you have that kind of that free range to kind of move around and get to places the way that you want. But you know, this level obviously doesn't have that. Everything's in a hallway or a room, and there are a lot of these little side pathways, and sometimes the radar won't beep when you get close to the entrance. You like actually have to go into the room for the radar to start beeping. There are these hourglasses that like slow down progression. There's this giant room in the center that isn't in the Rouge version of the stage, where that links all three of the areas, because basically this is laid out like a giant triangle. There's a red section, a blue section, and a green section, and everything sort of meets in the center in this big round room. And it's difficult to remember which set pieces are found in which area. There is a map on the wall, and I did show that off just now, and that helps for like knowing, like, if you can keep in the back of your head, I've already been to the red area of the stage, I should probably try the green or blue ones. But you know, just trying to do this newbie run, like the way I've been doing it to estimate how long a new player could take, was like a big fat pain in the ass for the stage, because there's so many little nooks and crannies to look around in. And you know, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a little bit of an underestimate, because I wasn't quite as thorough with like the upper areas as I could have been. But this was one of the longest this is one of the longest stages, I think, that I recorded in terms of the newbie run. It was like second behind Mad Space, I think, which I was really surprised by. I never remembered the stage being so terrible, but you know, apparently it is. I mean, of course, it's better in my the hint and the trial runs, but even one of my trial runs was actually longer than the full hint one, which just, I guess, goes to show how much the RNG can have sway over this stage in particular. But it's just like trying to get around even is a pain in the butt in the way that it isn't for other stages. And because like the reason I liked Egg Quarters was because for the most part you can kind of just keep running and nothing will stop you. Like, not even that beetle robot, but with this level you're constantly slowing down to hit switches to open doors, and there are way more side pathways, and there's that giant room in the center, and there's the fact that you have to dig through walls to get places, and it's not obvious where you come out. I had a real shitty time with the stage, and this will be, I think, the second longest part I upload for the series. So, as you guys already know, I brought someone else along to help fill the commentary gap. Introduce yourself, kind sir.
Well, I'm KingK, and of course, I volunteered for this madness, because I'm a crazy person. But, I don't know, should I just introduce, like, what I do? I don't know if people even would know.
Yeah, please.
Well, I make videos very similar to this gentleman. Lately, I've ventured into the longer territory. My recent video was a Breath of the Wild video that was an hour and 30 minutes, I think. And basically, I just review games. That's the simplest way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, this is another one of those side areas, and I think this is mostly for the Chow. Like, I didn't bother going to the Chow areas because, like, in the first... Because they're like, you never have to go there to get an emerald, I'm pretty sure. And it usually requires upgrades from later stages to get to anyway, so I usually ignore them.
I feel like the switches, I feel like they're unnecessary. I don't understand, like, I don't know what they test, really. Like,
they, like I said, all they really seem to do is slow down progression in the stage.
It's weird.
Because it's basically a bunch of linear paths linking three set pieces. Like, in Rouge's, in egg quarters, each of the rooms are labeled. Like, the blue area is like the egg fish quarters or something like that, and then the red one is like something else, and Omochat will tell you about it. In this stage, you don't even get that. There's a red area, a green area, and a blue area, and you're just supposed to kind of remember. Or just sort of actually just look at it and just figure out what it is somehow. So we're only done with our first round of the stage, folks. We're starting the second one. And one thing I should note ahead of time is that in my first round, I did not explore the upper area next to the big Eggman statues. They're like the big mantis guy. So I'll actually be doing that twice on the second run to sort of compensate for that fact, to kind of correct for that in the estimate.
How are you supposed to break that chest down there?
I don't think you are supposed to.
It's always, even when I was a kid, I always wanted to know if I could break that thing, because it taunted me.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I've ever found an emerald in there or anything, so I don't think Knuckles can attack underwater.
Yeah, it's weird that it's even there.
Like, there's so many little side rooms on these paths that you have to explore. So, like, if you end up in that worst case scenario where you have to look everywhere before you find it, then this level will keep you busy, because we're gonna be here for a good 20 minutes and some change. Just in this first run. So, yeah. But, I don't know, I guess, I should also mention that KingK and I do a podcast together. It's called the Unversed Cast. And Dana's actually my editor for that, or our editor. He completes editing tasks for the group. Yeah, he was kind enough to take over that responsibility from me when, I don't know, I guess it got to be a little much on top of Game Mavericks and EPG and all that stuff. Yeah, so as you can see here, I'm going up into that upper area twice and just kind of, you know, because if the radar doesn't beep, you know to move on. So I didn't feel like I had to be too thorough with that. But yeah, so KingK, what are your 2 cents on Sonic Adventure 2 as a whole?
I think it gets more shit than it deserves, first off. I mean, I won't say it's flawless, but, like, I feel like it does... It's kind of weird, because, like, if I was thinking about, like, how would I make a Sonic game, it probably wouldn't be what this is, with, like, 3 different playstyles and the type of story that plays out. But I think that despite how weird of a concept it is, I think it works, because obviously the Sonic gameplay is really fun, and that's what everybody loves, and I like it too. And then there's the mech stuff. That's I think the mechs are what fit the least, but they're still fun. I mean, it's just sort of weird that they exist. And it's kind of weird that Gamma ever existed in the first place as a playstyle, but it's like, I think the thing about this game is that I think the reason that it's a Sonic game, to me, is that every level, the core of Sonic for me is that if I play one of the games enough times that I'll know it in and out, and I can, like, pseudo speedrun levels, and I think this game lends itself very well to that. Like, with the exception of a few stages, maybe, but even then, I think I would play them all over and over again for a reason, because I like getting better at them and just speedrunning them all. Even these stages with the RNG, I wouldn't say I necessarily memorize the emerald locations, but I just know how to get around the stage quickly, and that's why I like to speedrun them, pseudo speedrun. I don't actually, like, speedrun this game. I just try to get through it as fast as I can because it's really fun.
I know what you mean. It's kind of what I like about... It's one thing I've realized I really like about collectathon games, like... How fast can I finish Spyro the Dragon on the PS1? Because collectathons really lend themselves well to that, because you gotta, like, sort of think in your head based on your experience, what's the best route to go through to grab everything in one go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I honestly, even just doing this project, as much as it's kind of put things in perspective how bad this could get for someone who knows nothing about it, I don't know, like, even in the worst stages, I had fun just trying to see how fast I could do everything based on what I did know. Yeah. Like, I can consistently beat these things in about 2.5 minutes. And it's, I don't know, it's fun. I like it.
I think it might just be a philosophy that not everybody clicks with. Because it's, I don't think it's, this gameplay style in particular, I don't think lends itself the best out of the three. It doesn't lend itself the best to the first time player, because I think that's sort of the point. But I think the way that this game is at its best is if you play it more than once, and I don't know if that's like a philosophy that people can get behind all the time, but it's something that I like, so I don't know. Because
it's like, I have been thinking more about this. Like, Adventure 1, I guess, could seem better if you only play it once. But it's when you play it multiple times that you realize how annoying it is to have to go through those, like, same 11 stages, like, 3 or 4 times between the 6 characters and stuff, and have to watch all those repeat cutscenes and stuff. Whereas Adventure 2 just gets better and better the more you play it, I find. Yeah. You keep finding new little nuances and stuff, and just the way it's set up, it's much easier to just blast through again. Whereas with, like, whenever I played Adventure 1, like, I'm not just gonna play one story and leave it at that, because, you know, if I want to see all the stages, if I want to see all the bosses and all that, I have to play the other modes too. I guess that's where I see the difference between Adventure 1 and Heroes. As like, Heroes, if you don't play all 4 of them, all you're missing is Metal Sonic, really. And I guess the terrible special stages too, but with Adventure 1, if you want to see all the bosses, if you want to see all the stages, you do have to play the other modes. And yeah, having to replaying all of that every time I come back to the game. Because like if you're just playing like Sonic and leave it at that, you know, the game is pretty good, pretty fine, not too much wrong with it. But once you get into Tails and it's like all of the same cutscenes and pretty much every single stage that Sonic goes to, it just gets so boring. Like, even though his gameplay is fine and different enough, like, it's all the other stuff you're doing around that gets old. Whereas with SA2, everything just kind of flows together. Like, especially if, like, assuming that you do have some previous experience to kind of smooth over some of the stuff in these stages in particular, but I don't know. I think these stages, more so than SA1's treasure hunting stages, I've never found the treasure hunting stages in SA1 to be particularly memorable or worth revisiting a bunch as I do with these. And I haven't been able to pinpoint the reason why, because I guess I just haven't played them enough in SA1, but I have tried to go back to them. And I think there's just something, I feel like they're too simple, or like maybe the level design isn't as interesting. Well, I mean, part of the problem there is that all 6 characters share the same stage layouts. That's Whereas true. In this game, everything was designed from the ground up for Knuckles and Knuckles alone. And I don't know, it's, you know, at this stage, I feel like they didn't design it around him very well at all because of how confined everything is. Because, like, in Mad Space, I can, like, get from place to place, like, lickety-split. Between the rockets and the dive move and all that stuff. On this level, if I want to get to the red area, I have to pick a very specific path that the game doesn't label very well. And, you know, if you're a new player, you're going to be wandering around a lot. It's just kind of inevitable. And, I know, but even between that, I think this stage is like an exception when it comes to that. Aquatic Mine had some confined areas, but they were pretty small. Egg Quarters lets you move around pretty freely, and you can go really fast, so at least you got that. This is the only one where I feel like I'm cramped, I'm confined, this doesn't fit. This is, like, the hourglasses serve nothing but to slow things down. I don't feel like, you know, I'm getting the most out of Knuckles' ability in this stage. But with the other ones where it's like kind of more open than in... Because I think really the big difference is that SA1 stages are like so unbelievably easy that it's just like shallow.
Yeah, that's what I always felt about them. I just couldn't figure out if that's the reason why I didn't like them, because, I don't know, I just never felt the need to go back and play them, like, strongly. So, that might be the reason why.
Like, as frustrating as these could potentially be if you, like, you know, lack common sense and really just know nothing about the stage at all, there is a certain satisfaction to getting good at these that isn't there with Sonic Adventure 1, because, like, the radar makes it so easy to find things, and T-Call just basically says, "Go this way."
Yeah, I remember
As with
those.
this,
oh man,
like you're rewarded on repeat playthroughs for knowing stages by, you know, having certain hints be more helpful. Because like if you played Pumpkin Hill before and you know about like 3 mountains, even vaguely, and you see a hint like under the tracks, you know, like on a first time playthrough, you might not know about Ghost Train Mountain, but you could still find it eventually, and that hint would still be helpful. But if you played the game before, it's like, oh, I know exactly where I could find that. And you know, obviously, some hints are more specific or helpful than others, but you know, there is a satisfaction to getting good at these. At least I find. Alright, so now we're in our full hint run, and I think this one was like about 7 minutes. No, it was about 5 actually, which is actually lower than the round, the run that's going to come next. And of course, like the way I'm doing these is 1 full run of the stage, and then I just use the hints from there. Sort of correct for the fact that people wouldn't know the level design, I guess. You know, this is, out of all the estimates I'm doing, this is probably the one I'm least confident in, because honestly, like, I feel like the Newbie Run sort of estimate strategy I'm doing is pretty valid for the most part, pretty close. But with this one, I really have no idea how a new player would respond to hints and how much futzing around there could be.
Yeah,
so,
I think that's the problem with the criticisms of this gameplay in general, is that I don't think, unless you've never played the game before, it's really hard to replicate the first time experience. You can only go off of like what you think it would be like for a first time player, unless you've actually never played the game. Yeah. And it varies from person to person based on how good they are at certain types of games. Like, if they're, like, if they have a good grasp of the controls already, then maybe they'll be able to get around quicker. Who knows? But I think there are just way too many variables to consider for that, and it would, like, even if you got somebody that was new, you could, like, there are too many different types of new players, which is why you always say that you would have preferred to have, like, I think 100 people for each category or something.
That's what I was thinking, because like there's also there's this concept in statistics called power, and what that essentially is the probability based on your sample size that you will confirm your research hypothesis if it happens to be true. So what that essentially means is that, do you have enough people in your sample where if you were right for all intents and purposes, what is the probability of that showing up in the numbers? And you'd need, I think, just based on my previous knowledge, I would need at least 100. And if you get that many people who all have varying levels of previous experience with like action games, or even whether or not they played SA1 before this, And, you know, I think that having 100 people and sort of averaging that out would be pretty representative, but, you know, it's... I have never conducted a study that big before, and I don't know who I'd go through to get, like, what ethics body I would go to get that approved. I don't know how I'd be able to, you know, control for other things, like, I'd probably have to administer some kind of survey, asking about, like, previous gaming experience and, you know, sort of testing levels of, multilateral thinking or something like that, because like these levels require a degree of that as well to sort of think. You gotta sort of, you know, just sort of put the pieces together from the hints and all that kind of stuff. And I imagine that people who are higher in that sort of thing would do better with the hints than someone who isn't. Then I'd have to do like a regression analysis to sort of, you know, get a predictive model going. And you know, that's beyond my capacity, I think. Even with all the education I have, which is only an undergraduate education, mind you, but still something. Yeah.
I think it's still a useful thing to do, though. You know, like, it is interesting to watch, because I have been watching these, and they are, like... It's not like, I like that this exists, because I don't think I've seen anyone go this in depth with anything. Like, it's just really interesting.
But KingK, didn't you know that quickies don't cut it?
That is true, yeah. But like, he's never conducted like studies, you know, like something something akin to studies like this. It's really, I don't know. I feel like I feel like a channel like that should exist out there. Maybe it does, but like, this seems like an untapped, like, idea. I don't know.
Yeah. And KingK already knows this, but I'm going to be doing a study for the Sunshine Review, where I look at blue coins. And that research design is much more valid and less speculative than this. Because it really is just, I look at the coin, is it obscure or is it not? Is it only found in a specific episode, or can you get it in episode 8? And, you know, just sort of coding it and finding frequencies. There's no inferential statistics involved, it's just descriptives. And, yeah, I guess, spoiler alert, what I found is you can find 85% of the blue coins in episode 8, and 85% of the blue coins are not, in fact, obscure. And I erred on the side of overestimating obscure blue coins. Like, if it was something that... If it was like hidden in a spot that you'd never think to look, or if it was like just looking at the environment around it, it wasn't obvious that there would be a coin there, then I called it obscure. And I tried to be really open with those definitions, and still, only like 15% are obscure. So, yeah. I don't know, I've been wanting to do more of that kind of stuff for a while, but it was like, I always thought that maybe it was a little too, like, going a little too overboard, but at this point I've made an 59-minute review of Super Mario 64, so...
You might as well go all the way.
Yeah, I might as well go all the way on this.
I mean, it's fascinating, I think. And plus you said that you got more viewers on this than you would have expected, I think.
Yeah. Right? I was expecting like 300. Or like maybe 500. Like my Star Fox Zero playthrough got like 500-ish. And that's like lifetime views. So, yeah, I was surprised that people were interested in this.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like something you could do for a lot of games, actually.
Yeah, especially because like when you have a stage that's based on RNG like this, you kind of need to model it statistically for claims to have any sort of value beyond I happen to experience this. Because, you know, I can beat these generally in about 3.5 minutes, I think, is what I found. But then I hear people say it took me 20 minutes to beat Aquatic Mine, and I'm like, what were you doing? And then they try to explain it to me, and it's just like, it just, to me, it just comes off as like a lack of common sense or something, you know? Just like, You never thought to look near the air necklace spot?
Yeah.
It seems like
That was tough.
pretty obvious or not too obscure to me, but I don't know, like, there are a lot of variables that go into this, like you said.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into trial run number 1, and I think this is the worst time I get for the stage. Because, you know, it does happen every once in a while where you just get that one shard that you just can't fucking find.
Yeah.
There'll be, like, even you use all the hints and you're, like, on top of things seemingly, but it just sort of slips through the cracks and you can't fucking find it. I got one like that in Security Hall in one of my trial runs. And I was like, what? Where is this fucking thing? And it took me like 3 minutes to find it, and then I was still able to beat the stage after that. Because, like, what I find with these stages is that more often than not, because, like, there is an element of luck to it, I find that more often than not, luck usually helps you more than it hurts you with these stages. Like, in terms of, like, finding an emerald prematurely or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that I find that sort of thing happens more often than you get that one you just can't fucking find.
I think more like, I always notice that I find while I'm looking for one emerald, I just see another one. I'm like, oh, hi. And that's why I never really, like, I don't think I've ever consciously encountered a problem with how the radar works because of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's closer.
Oh, I remember this one. I was talking about, like, a glowing blue dot or something was the hint. So it's clearly referring to the map, but I'm... Ah, yeah. So, I guess we'll take a look at some hints here. Because I find that that's another thing I hate about this stage, is that I think that the hints are at their absolute worst in this stage. Because it's always just not... Because I still use them because it's like... Better to have them and have an idea of what I'm looking for than, you know, just be blindly looking for them, you know? But even then, a lot of them are just really not specific enough. Like, even when you're using, like, multiple ones. Like, multiple ones, it's better. But, you know, this is, I guess, where my strategy of one hint per shard is, like, not as airtight as in other stages. Like, I think I eventually find this one in, like, a side room somewhere in, like, the corner of the room. It's just, like, you wouldn't know that, because there are a lot of torches in this level. It's like, which could it be referring to? I think that if they were ever to make, like, an SA3 and bring this back, they should... The first hint should always be, like, a set piece sort of area. Like, the first hint you find is the red area or something like that. So you know that I'm looking for an emerald in this chunk of the stage, and the emerald, or the radar can take you from there. I was also thinking a compass wouldn't hurt too. Like, you know, like on top of the radar that beeps when you get closer, it would like sort of point in the direction of where you can find the emerald. I think that would help a lot. Because then you know, oh, because when it starts glowing yellow, you don't know exactly what direction you need to be heading in, so you kind of have to futz around a little bit, but there is a compass. It says, go this way. I think there are ways to make this more exploration, more... yeah, see, corner light. But it's like, how would you know that? And this one is 2 bugs who gather in 2 trees, and like, that I think is referring to hieroglyphics. Like, eventually we'll go to, like, the green room, and I think there's, like, on the hieroglyphic textures, there are bugs and trees or something like that. That one I used by accident, but, yeah, see, room where Omochao is? That's supposed to be making it more specific, but it's like, Omochao is in a lot of rooms in the stage. It's not very helpful. Like, he was right there. It's like... It's one thing if you have a hint that could refer to, like, 3 or 4 places. It's another thing when it refers to, like, 8. So at that point, it's just, like, not helpful enough. But, you know. Yeah. So, I've been meaning to ask KingK. How far in advance were you working on those Zelda videos? Dan? Hello? KingK? Ah. I missed a message. Well, I guess I'm here by myself for just a little bit, folks. You don't mind, right? Like my sensual voice? Like, what else can I say about this stage at this point? It's like, I think we're still in my first trial run, and it's taking me forever. I'm glad I got at least one of these in my trial sample, at least. Yeah, it's, you're back.
Yeah. Just an insider, my dog has a cone, and I have to, because I just have to be attentive with her, and I had to go take care of something really quick. So I'm sorry about that. But, so, what trial run are you on?
I think this is still the first one.
Jesus. Well, maybe that's a good, it's a good measure of time there.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'd prefer that, because that's the whole reason I'm doing 5 of them, is so that I can factor in stuff like this. So if I play it once and all I get is this, then that's, like, kind of overestimating how long it takes, usually. But, you know, still, it's like, Jesus. I'm, like, using hints, but it's like backtracking through the stage is such a pain. Alright, I guess we found it. It's in this room somewhere, and it's gonna be in the hieroglyphics. And it's just like, it's red, but I don't know which part it is. And that's where hints are usually really helpful. Because, like, if you get to a room like this where there are like 5 different set pieces the emerald could be at, and you're not using the hints, you just kind of have to keep looking around and hope you find it. But if you got a hint next to the red room, so that means we're looking for it in here somewhere. It'll be bugs and trees. I don't know, I don't even really see bugs and trees. Oh, it's...
I don't think I've ever seen this key. It doesn't seem familiar.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a pain in the butt to jump up there, too, because you can't grab...
They just had to put the flames up there.
Yeah, that was a great idea. That...
I found him.
You know, your odds of getting that piece, I don't know how many there are, or how the RNG is structured, but...
Not too bad.
Still, that they should have known better. That was a bad one. But the good news is that all the rest of them are about 2.5 to 3 minutes. So, yeah, it'll get faster from here, but it's just like those first 3 runs took so long. Like, by the time I was done with this, I was like, oh. And then, like, I immediately went to the Unversed Cast server on Discord and was like, alright, who wants to commentate on Death Chamber? And KingK was like, oh, alright. I would like to do that.
Like, sure.
Yeah.
Of course, I volunteered for the one, the psychotic one.
Yeah.
Did you get anyone for your longest one?
Yeah, I think Gamer Guide and Husky Z are gonna join me for Mad Space, which is the longest one. It's like 53 minutes.
Hope it doesn't drive you mad.
I'll tell you what, doing 3 full rounds of that stage for the Newbie Run was like an exercise in patience. But honestly, it's harder
I struggle
to play
more
that.
with... I don't know, I try to figure out if I struggle more with Mad Space or this one, because I do struggle with this one still, but I find that Mad Space... I don't know, the only thing that bothers me about Mad Space is how the gravity works. I've never had trouble finding the emeralds themselves, so I don't know. I think this one is just the most frustrating for me to just navigate.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it. It's just trying to backtrack through it, I think, is... And the fact that there are also the those fucking doors you gotta keep opening. There are all these little side rooms that the emerald could potentially be in, but the radar won't beep until you're actually inside of them. And like, if you're new, it might not even occur to you that emeralds could be in there, so you'll run past it thinking like, oh, that's probably like a chow thing or something, but nope. You can find emeralds in there. I think I find one in there in one of my trial runs, so it's possible. This level blows. But it's like mad space. I think my trial mean was like surprisingly low for that. Like, I think the shortest I completed it was in about 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Yeah,
I got a little lucky with that. Like, the last one was down at the bottom, and I like did a dive and happened to land right on the platform that it happened to be on. So I got a little lucky there, but you know, mad space. There are actually lots of little shortcuts and little tricks to getting around. Like, I realized during my playthrough of it that you know how you start in kind of that triangular sort of platform with like the 3 little prongs that have rockets on them.
Yeah.
Like each of the poles of that little platform are color coded. Like there's a red, green, blue lights around each rocket, and the color of the lights corresponds to the planet it goes to. Like I think the blue one goes to the capsule planet, or I think it goes to the holy planet. The red rocket goes to the capsule planet, and then the green one that you have by default goes to the gravity planet that everybody hates. So there's these fucking guys too.
I've had trouble with these. Traditionally, I always have trouble with these, whatever they're called. I don't even know, but they annoy the fuck out of me. Definitely.
Yeah, it's like talk about above the small flame. Well, there are a lot of small flames in this level game. Just saying. So yeah, 325, not too terrible. But you know, that's. I seriously doubt that any new player could possibly get time even close to that without some serious luck on their side. Because even with the hints, it's like kind of a crapshoot finding these things. So I can only really chalk that up to my own experience. So snakes, that one's a little more helpful because I think it's because there are some torches in this level that are shaped like snakes, and so I guess you're looking for, and they usually appear in that hallways that look like the one I just went through. And so you're looking for the hallway where the snake torches face each other, which is right there. As you can see, there are those 2 snake-shaped torches, so that means it's got to be around here, and I think, yeah, there it is. So that one was kind of helpful, but even then, I think that one does require a little more knowledge of the level design than I think the average folk would have. The nape of the neck. So the nape is like a little sort of space in the back. It's like at the base of your neck where it meets your spine. And so the only place that could be in the stage is in one of those giant Eggman statues. So that one I think was helpful. I mean, like, assuming you have that kind of lateral thinking to sort of put 2 and 2 together on that. But even once you know that, you still have to backtrack to the part of the stage that has that and go through all the fucking hallways and stuff. And I just realized while I was watching this that, like, do you remember where Knuckles gets his hammer gloves from?
His hammer? The things that break the steel boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in, like, the red hallway. I think.
Okay, so it is in the stage.
Yeah. It's like it's one of the hallways, like, down, you know, right there.
Okay.
That you open with that spring that you just passed. It's in one of those, and it's like in an offshoot, like, right there to the right is where it is. The boxes.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking about it, and I was just like, I'm breaking steel crates that are, like, blocking the way. But I do go to the room 3 times where you'd find that, so I don't know, hopefully my estimates aren't too off for, you know, for that factor. It's just like this whole thing ended up being much more challenging than I originally anticipated.
I mean, I couldn't do this. This seems really complicated.
Yeah, it is. Hopefully I'll have something to show for it at the end. As it's like, I don't know, people tell me I spent 20 minutes in the Aquatic Mine. I'm like, well, how does that happen? Because it's like the longest it ever takes me, I think, is 24:32 in mad space. So it's like, yeah.
I don't think I've ever taken longer than a half hour. So that's good.
Half hour.
I mean, maybe when I was a first-time player, that'd be
yeah,
that'd be horrible.
Like,
but I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know. Like, I guess if you're a kid, maybe too, when you're playing this, like it could be good in some ways in that you aren't as picky about things and you just kind of let it go. But it could be bad at the same time because kids might not have that lateral thinking they need to sort of figure out where to go. They might just get frustrated and give up.
I was thinking about that one hint, the nape of the neck. When I was a kid, I would not have known what that would even mean. But at least I think the word neck sort of helps because you would know what a neck is. Just that I wouldn't know what a nape was until I grew up. But it is. It's not as like. I think most of the hints are pretty helpful. And plus, once you get to the third hint on a emerald, it's pretty much like a dead giveaway almost.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure they get progressively easier each hint.
Typically they do, because like with everything, as with everything else in these levels, it's all probabilistic. Because usually the third one is the most specific and the most direct, but I know I realized I never asked you what your strategy is for these stages.
Well, I don't know. I usually grab a hint if there's a hint monitor nearby. I'll just grab one and see what it says. It doesn't necessarily always help, so what I do usually is I just I run around the stage really quickly and just until I get a beep. And once I get a beep, I just stick around. I might grab another hint, but I usually don't grab more than one because I don't usually need to. And so I will just, like in this stage, for example, what I would do is I just keep running around in a ring and until I heard a beep. If I don't hear a beep, then I'll go towards the middle and run around there. This stage is really hard for me to do my usual routine because there's so many places to check out. Like it could be in one of these hallways and I just pass through it if I do my usual loop through the middle or the outer sides. But in something like Aquatic Mine, I would just, all I would do, I wouldn't even fuck around with the water levels. I would sort of just go to the top so that all the water drains and then run around until I hear a beep. And there are only a specific few that I know about that I need to screw with the water levels in a very specific way. Yeah. So in that case, I would just, if I hear the beep in that one area and there's a hint that goes along with it that pretty much gives it away because I've had trouble with it in the past. So I'll just go hit the correct level. But that's, I don't know. That's also probably because I'm really experienced with the stage layouts that I'm able to do it relatively quickly, but that's usually my routine, is just, I just loop around the stage really fast and get a few hints here and there. I mean, I'm not afraid of getting hints because it's pretty, like, the A rank is basically only time, unless you get 3 hints for, like, all of them, which will probably put your rank down pretty far. It's not gonna matter unless, like, because if you find them all in, like, under a minute, it's not really gonna matter.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting that you get comments from folks who are actually experienced with this and who know what they're doing. They still say nah, I still don't want to use hints because I want those bonus points. And I'm like, are you sure?
I mean, the hints do help. I mean, even just one, especially if you're experienced, because that usually puts you in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Hints, hints, hints. Use the damn hints. That's the one thing you should take away from this. Even if it doesn't help, it's better than nothing.
I mean, there's another thing. Should you, if you're like a first-time player, do you really care about like getting an A rank on everything? Is that like a realistic goal?
Because it's like every time I like, certainly I've heard other people who like this game like you and I do sort of say that. But when it's everybody else, it's always just like, but using hints decreases your rank.
Yeah.
Because there are a few reviews from the well-known YouTubers that will make arguments like that, and I'm just like what? I guess Bayonetta's a bad game now because it's like almost impossible to get a platinum in that game on a decent difficulty, unless if you're like a god at hack and slash games.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, if you're going for an A rank, it applies that you're going to be playing the stage over and over again anyway, so wouldn't that, like...
Yeah.
You'd be less inclined to use hints anyway, and I mean, we've already said that it doesn't really affect your rank all that much as long as you get them quickly, so I don't know. It's just kind of a weird complaint that just... Because the ranking system, it doesn't, like, really... I don't know, like, it's somewhat important for, like, feeling good, maybe, or like trying to avoid feeling bad if you get an E rank, but I don't know. I don't think it's not that important, at least to me. I don't know if it is to other people. I guess it is if they're complaining about it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just more like, as much as this whole thing has helped me realize how flawed these really are, at the same time I still think that there's this for some reviewers anyway, like they want to make this game look as bad as possible. Yeah. So like even with something like the hints that help a lot, like it just, like, the easiest way to dismiss them as resolving the issue is to say, oh well, they decrease your score, so you wouldn't want to use them anyway. And
yeah,
then you watch,
I don't
like,
get it.
the SGB playthrough, and it takes them like 18 minutes to beat Mad Space, and it's just like, you didn't use hints.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what did you expect? Do you have that opportunity available, and you decided not to use that because the A rank you don't actually care about?
I mean, I would consider myself very experienced, but even I, like, it takes like speedrunner level dedication to memorize emerald location layouts. Like, that
is a myth that I hope that this whole thing has successfully challenged, is that, you know, people like KingK and I who've been playing this for like over a decade, we don't have every single emerald location memorized.
Yeah,
we know the general layout.
I have a few emerald locations that I just know because I've gotten them over the years, but I don't know them all. Like, that's impossible almost. Like, I mean, there are people that know it, but like,
there are like speedrunners that will like do that, and then they'll like look at the first hint and like instantly know what it's referring to. Even they'll use hints.
And you know what I also do is that I was doing recently. I did a race against Retropolis Zone with this game. I don't remember what stage it was. I think it was. It might have been Aquatic Mine or something. I don't know. I got a really, really, like, bad emerald, like a first emerald, and I had no fucking... I just could not find it for the life of me. So I just restarted, because it gives you an all-new emerald layout. I mean, that's something that people might not know about, like, that you can do, but that's something that I do to mitigate my frustration, so... I
mean, eventually, just by accident, you're gonna die, and then you'll learn from that when you die, it resets the stage. Or, I mean, it resets the emerald location.
Yeah.
And you also... This is something we'll be seeing in later stages where I do die during these runs. Like, I died like 3 times during my Mad Space newbie run. That was fun to do the math in that, but whenever you die, whenever you get an emerald shard, it's a checkpoint. And when you respawn, not only does the emerald reset, but the time between when you got that last emerald and when you died is removed. But at the same time, your score resets too, so that doesn't help too much. But I don't know. Since these stages are really about how fast you do them anyway, the score you get from enemies and other stuff doesn't matter as much as it does with the with the mech and the action race stages. Like, if you die in a mech stage towards the end, then you're not getting that A rank. It's not happening. Like, you need those combo bonuses, but these levels, it's not too bad. So there's at least that sort of aspect that they reduce your clock for that. But it sucks for me because that means that I have to do a bunch of math, and it's fun because there isn't like a good stopwatch calculator that goes to the centisecond place, like the clock in this game does. Like, there are 2 places after the second mark, and that are in decimal form. Yeah, because it goes up to 99 centiseconds. And most stopwatch calculators don't have that, so that basically means every time I want to do a calculation or enter data, I have to convert the time in minutes, seconds, centiseconds to decimal seconds. So basically multiply that hour place by 60, and then add that to the seconds place. Yeah. And then I have to convert it back whenever I want to put it in the results screen.
That sounds way too complicated for me. I haven't taken... I haven't had to take a math class in like a few years because of my major, but Jesus. Like, that just brought me back to high school. Holy fuck. Like,
yeah.
Oh, man.
Because, like, I was never all that great at math either, but I know, it's like there's a difference between you get some prompt in a math textbook that says, figure this out, and, like, actually being there in the moment, being like, okay, this is what I need from this. I know the math I need to do to make that happen. And I also took this one chemistry class that taught me, like, a foolproof way to convert numbers. It's like basically a decimal, or like a fraction that you use that, like, for example, 12 inches is equal to 1 foot, right? So that's like a conversion scale, or a conversion sentence, or equation. Like, what you can do with that is then, if you have a number, like, say you have like a number 5.5 feet that you need to convert to inches, is you multiply that by a fraction that is 1 foot over 12 inches. So, and then when you divide by 12 inches on the total number of inches, you, like, scratch out the inches label on the bottom, on the denominator, and then all that's left is feet, so what you have left over after that is feet. Like, I know, it's hard to explain in words.
Yeah.
But it's, like, once you know about that trick, it's like a snap to convert a measurement from one scale to another. But I digress. That was Death Chambier. Okay, our score is here. Newbie Run was 16 minutes, and I know that I wouldn't be surprised if that's a bit of an underestimate. You might want to add like an extra minute or 2 to that. Full hint run was 7 minutes and 50 seconds. The trial run was 7 minutes and 34 seconds. Trial mean was 5 minutes and 1 second. Standard deviation was 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So the longest it could take is about 7 minutes. And the shortest it could take is about 2 minutes and 53 seconds. So full hint minus newbies, that shaves off about 8 minutes. Trial mean minus newbies, 11 minutes. So yeah, that's pretty big difference for the stage, but even then, like, I think that's the biggest trial mean I ever get for any of these levels. So that's, yeah, I don't like this level. This is my least favorite one. I can have fun in mad space with all the experience I have. This level, even when you know what you're doing, it's not that fun.
I would probably agree there, yeah.
So I'm gonna give it the lowest ranking of them all, of all 9 of these. But yeah, that was Death Chamber. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much, KingK, for agreeing to commentate on this part.
Yeah,
you guys where can people find you, kind sir?
Well, you can find me, I think, at youtube.com/KingdomKlannad with 2 N's. They have 2 K's also.
Not 3 Ks, just 2.
Also cameo by my dog, who decides to bark at the end of a video, so that's nice. But you can find me there. I don't know if the /KingK will actually work, because I don't think I've gotten that figured out, but I think twitter.com/KingdomKlannad definitely, because I don't have a KingK handle for that. And I'm on the Unversed Cast, which is nice. Hopefully we get a video out sometime.
Yeah, there's a certain someone who hasn't got their audio in yet. We recorded a thingy on Sonic Forces like 3 weeks ago. And at this point, it's old hat, which is just great. But
it's an adventure, this whole YouTube gamble.
Adventure. Definitely. Yeah, that's the part. Thank you all for joining us, and I'll see you guys in the next part with probably another guest for Meteor Herd, which I think is fun but flawed level. But until then, I'm Exo, and I'll see you guys next time.